Hey everybody, C3 here. Doing a video on this Dell Precision 380, and you may be wondering, hey, haven't you already done a video on the Dell Precision 380? And you would be correct. Except this is another thing. This is a new thing that I'm starting because of a certain YouTube commenter who I will put in probably somewhere on the screen. I had the idea to do this before the guy actually commented, but I wasn't really sure what computer to do it on, and him commenting specifically on the 380 video opened up a really, really good opportunity for some sort of insight into this, if you're looking to buy it, which I think he is, so let's get right into it. So, in the front, you can see the Dell Precision logo. I'm trying to get the light at a good angle here. So you can see the Dell Precision logo there up at the top, 380. Just below that, a DVD ROM CD RW drive. Just below that, you have a vent. More on that later. You have a blank for some 3.5-inch thing, a floppy drive, two front USB 2.0 ports, and a 1394, I think, A port, and I'm pretty sure it's A, as well as microphone in and headphone out, and the power button, Dell logo, and just behind the Dell logo is the vents, and below there are some more vents. So you can see this was designed for Windows XP and has a Pentium 4, more on that later. And yeah, that's about it for the front. Around the back you have the power supply, vent for the power supply, the switch to switch voltages, the power input, and just below that you have the large vent for the CPU fan, as well as just the main system fan in general. And for I/O, we have 2-channel audio and a microphone out. We have a 10100, I think, maybe gigabit, 10100, maybe gigabit Ethernet port, 5 rear USB ports, which is interesting. I've never seen 5 USB ports. They're all USB 2. Parallel printer, serial, and PS2 keyboard and mouse. Just below that, you can see the video card, which has 2 DVI outs and an S-video out. And just below that is a FireWire and 6-channel audio card. Getting into the machine as easy as can be. As with all Dells of this area, you just pull on the handle and the case releases like so. So now let's get into a little more of the philosophical stuff. This machine is a workstation first, meaning everything in this is designed to be workstation grade. The motherboard supports RAID and has plenty of expansion opportunities with a, I think, 16x expansion slot for a graphics card. Dual slot, mind you. It'll cover up that 4x down there, you can see. And over here we have 3 regular 32-bit PCI slots and a 8x, I think. 8x PCI slot for additional expandability. You have 4 SATA ports clustered down at the bottom there. Both of them are in use with the drives right now, but you have the ability to get up to 4. The power supply, I had to hack this a little bit because the fan in this power supply was a dreaded ADA fan. And ADA fans have a tendency, apparently, to grind up and stop. And they don't have any detection to see that the motor is not spinning. So they wind up burning out the motor. And there's literally no way to fix it other than to replace the fan. But that's just a minor thing. There are 2 fans in the system. One is over here, and the other behind the CPU fan. There are 3 spots for hard drives. 2 are down here, and the other one is up where the vent is. You see that blue clip right there? That's another space for a hard drive. Good luck getting to it, but it's another space for a hard drive. And in addition to having 3 spaces for hard drives, it can support RAID 5, as well as RAID 1 and 0. So, any type of RAID configuration you could want for this is possible. In addition, the system has great legacy support, has IDE and floppy, as you could see before. Now, for the CPUs. As you saw on the front, this has a Pentium 4 in it. Wrong. The system is a 775 socket with the ability to support either Prescott Pentium 4s or Prescott Pentium Ds. This current system has a Pentium D 945, which is still quite expensive on eBay considering it being from 2005. But anyway, this is a dual-core, essentially a dual-core Pentium 4. So it's got some performance boost there, but not much. So anyway, let's get on to powering this thing up, and we'll go into what it can do in the BIOS. So let's get right into it. Just to note, this computer has two 80 gig Seagate drives, the exact same model and size, and they are in a RAID 0, so let's keep that in mind. Powering it on is as simple as pressing the power button on the front of the standard Dell indicator LEDs, post indicator, really helpful. Here you can see it's powering on. Control I enters the configuration utility. I didn't get it in time though, so let me go ahead and just reset that. One thing to note about this computer is that it has no built-in capabilities for graphics, so if you do get a version that has no graphics card, you'll need to purchase a graphics card before you can even get this thing working. But anyway, here we are in the RAID configuration utility. So you can see both of my disks are in a RAID 0. They are both ST380815AS models. Different serial numbers, of course. They are both 74.5 gigabytes formatted, and they are in a RAID 0, which, increases speed a little bit, for a total size of 149.1 gigs. But you can get up to about 2 terabytes with this, so you can buy 2 Western Digital Velociraptors, or, I don't know, 3 500 gigabyte Velociraptors and put them in a RAID 5. Or in the case of the 2 1 terabytes, you can put them in a RAID 0 or RAID 1, whichever you prefer. But creating a RAID volume is very simple. It's not going to let me do it right now because there's not enough space to create any more volumes, but yeah. You have your choice of 0, 1, or 5. That's it, so yeah, there you go. That's the RAID configuration utility. Let's get into the BIOS. So, for whatever reason, this is giving me just a blank and telling me to press F2 or F1. So we're going to press F2 and get into the BIOS. And here we are in the BIOS. So you can see this is a Precision 380. Processor is a Pentium D 3.4 gigahertz, which is the 945. For memory, I have 4 gigabytes of DDR2, all unbuffered. I think this can support up to 8. So you have some pretty good expansion potential there. So you can see here, it's a VGA card and an audio firewire card. The date and time is surprisingly correct. And the boot sequence is, yeah, as you would expect. Supposedly, okay, this has 6 SATA ports. Nope, I lied. It has 4 SATA and 2 PATA, so you can theoretically get up to 6 drives in this, but good luck putting them anywhere. For whatever reason, this has the option to turn off the second core of the Pentium D if you so wished, which is absolutely dumb. Just to let you know, but maybe if you have the Pentium 4 version of this and have this on, it probably won't boot. So, yeah, that's that. As you can see, speed step is on. You want to have this on as well. It just throttles the CPU back a little bit when there's not much going on. It's a power saving tactic, which you will definitely need if you have a Pentium D, because those are so power consuming. I will give you an idea of what this is like from the wall in a minute under full load. CPU ID value, I'm not sure what that's for. You probably won't need it, so don't even touch it. This is something that actually does help. It's HDD acoustic mode. If you have your HDD acoustics on quiet, it increases the seek time, and it does get quite hindering to performance, so you just want to leave it on performance. That's just easy. And I mean, I don't really mind noise, but if you do mind noise, then put it on quiet. Doesn't matter, but there it is anyway. Let's go back to the... One thing to really note, if you notice I have the BIOS version A09. This computer came out before the Pentium D came out. but can't support the Pentium D. So, there was a BIOS update sometime before or after the Pentium D came out to where it added support for Pentium D processors. You need to have the latest BIOS version in order to even boot with a Pentium D processor. This means if your computer did not come with a Pentium D already installed that works, then you need to have a Pentium 4 in it and do a BIOS update before you put in the new processor. It's a minor thing, but it can be kind of annoying. So anyway, that's about all for the BIOS. Let's get into the operating system, which is Windows 7 in this case. I'll be back when that boots up. So as you can plainly see, this system definitely does support Windows 7, so it does support modern operating systems. I have tested this with Windows 10, but the graphics card I currently have in it, which I will bring up here, I did try Windows 10, but the Quadro FX 1400 is not supported at all by Windows 10, and NVIDIA has not updated its drivers to support Windows 10, so you can only use it in Windows 7. But as I said, you can buy another graphics card for this because it has a 16x slot. So if you wanted to even do it for that, you can, and you probably could support Windows 10 if you really needed it. But chances are you probably won't. So you can just leave it with Windows 7 and it works perfectly fine. So one thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to test the performance of the CPU, and I'm going to use Cinebench to do that. First I'm going to open Cinebench on my main laptop, which is directly to the right of the camera, and I'm going to run Cinebench on that and get a score. And then we will compare this to the Dell Precision 380 you see in front of you, and we will get the results. So as you can see for this run, my CPU scored a 614, which is just a little bit above an i7-3728QM, and a little bit more above my Xeon X5355, which is my render workstation, and is below a 3770, which is a desktop processor, but not by much, and is way beaten out by a 4770K. So now let's see where the Pentium D places. So the Cinebench tests have finished. And where does our result lie? Well, yeah, it's not that pretty. Yeah, it's all the way at the bottom. It has a Cinebench score of 81, and it is, wow, it's like about a third of that i5 3317. Yeah, it's really not that great. I'll give it that, but I think it might be a little bit unfair to compare a Pentium D to an i5, so let's compare it to a Core 2 Duo. I'm going to get my other computer on, and we'll test out the Core 2 Duo with Cinebench. One thing I forgot about my Core 2 Duo PC is that it runs Windows XP. Cinebench does not run on Windows XP, but I know it does. Linux Benchmark does, so we can compare the Linux benchmark times between the two and see which is better. I'll do that now. I have Linux on my desktop here. If I can get a working mouse. We'll run Linux. We'll do 128 megabytes of memory, and we'll run it 50 times. Nah, we'll do 20 times. Be back when this is done, see how long it takes. So, for results, finished in 2 minutes and 11 seconds with G-flops in the range of about 9.8 with a peak of 9.9076. So, we can say about 9.8 G-flops for the Core 2 Duo. This Core 2 Duo is a Core 2 Duo 6300, just for reference, 1.86 gigahertz. Let's get back to the Pentium D and try Linux there. So, same test conditions, except this time we have a 3.4 gigahertz Pentium D instead of a 1.86 gigahertz Core 2 Duo. It'll be interesting to see if the extra clock speed will help win the day here. So I'll let that run. So here are the results. Finished in 2 minutes and 17 seconds, so slightly longer, but on average got about 11 gigaflops with a peak of 11.1. So that's a very interesting result, and it does seem that the extra clock speed in this case did help. But since the Core 2 Duo is newer, it's going to use less power and have a higher instructions per clock than the Pentium D does. But still, the result regardless is that the Pentium D won this test, and now we can move on to some general use cases, and then we can move on to some more intensive tasks like video rendering. So let's try out some browsing with Google Chrome. Let's go watch a YouTube video. So we'll go to YouTube. And let's go watch a video. You know what we're gonna watch. You know. So we're gonna watch a 1080p YouTube video. With nothing really going on, Chrome seems to be using quite a bit of CPU. But anyway, let's just get to the part where we actually watch the video. No sound, so whatever. Okay, so right off the bat, you can definitely see that there's some frame loss. A lot of frame loss with 1080p 60 FPS. The CPU is cratered at 100%. But, at least to me, I'd say that this is watchable. So, yeah, I'd definitely say that this is watchable. Let's go into another test. Okay, so I have Cyberlink Power Director installed, and I'm just going to take a random video. For this one, it's going to be the Dell Precision 2400 video, and I'm going to render it. See how long that takes, and I'll do some timeline editing after that, just to see how smooth it is and if it's actually usable. It starts up fairly slowly, but hopefully this loads properly. Yeah, it does this. I don't know why. It tells me I can't find it. Like, okay. I have to go out manually to the network and search for this shit. Win. File. Serve. Alright, file store. That's Dell Dimension video. Okay, so now that it's loading. Quite slowly. Oh, it's loading very slowly. Let me open Task Manager, see what kind of... Okay, so this is just Cyberlink being slow. It's not actually the computer's fault this time. There we go, finally to the importing media stage. This is really quite slow compared to my other computer. I'll show you the difference when I'm there, but yeah, this is pretty slow. Okay, so there we go. This is a 7, almost 8-minute video, so let's see how it renders. So you can see that the CPU usage is up, and Cyberlink is a very CPU intensive program. It doesn't do much with the GPU side of things, so there should be a pretty CPU intensive test. So let's just save this to the desktop as produce, and we don't have any hardware encoding, so rip, but yeah, here we go. I'll be back when this finishes. So we're done after 49 minutes and 43 seconds. Not that great. So now I'm going to do this on my main. Let me just get Cyberlink Power Director open here and we can get going. Alright, so we have Cyberlink. Okay, so conveniently the SD card ran out of space, so here we are. I've got the file selected because it couldn't find it. So here we go. Pressed open, You can see now it's importing the videos. A little bit quicker than last time. I don't think it likes being over a network that very much, but it's quicker for sure. There we go, importing media. Alright, so there we go. So you can see that was a bit quicker than last time, so now let's go ahead and produce this. We're going to go 1080p 60. And we're going to go ahead and just plop this on the root of the D drive. And awesome, something's in my way so I can't press this. Well, I'll just start this and I'll be back when it's done. So that finished in 8 minutes and 31 seconds. So yeah, definitely faster than the other one by a long shot. But that's to be expected because it's not only way newer, but has way more power. So I'm going to do some editing on the other one and see how it feels. I'll be back in a couple of minutes again. Okay, so I've just been frigging around with it for a few minutes, and this thing is really not good for video editing. Not doing anything in this program, literally just letting it sit here, the CPU idles around 50% on both cores. Not good. And when you go to playback anything, it rockets the CPU right up to 100% and it stutters like a bitch. It's not right now because I literally have nothing else going on, but oh man, it just stutters like a business sometimes. But, well, I think it's time that I lead into the conclusion with this now. Can you video edit on this? Yes, you can. Would you really want to? Probably not. There are better options out there, and you can definitely do better than this on any day of the week. 2 cores for this kind of task is really just not enough. If you wanted a computer that would actually be capable of doing anything and cost a reasonable amount of money, I would recommend probably like a Phenom 2 or something. Maybe a Core 2 Quad, but even those are kind of expensive still. Anything's better than a dual core, especially for video rendering and video editing. So if you're really on a tight budget, and you're looking for a huge feature set, which this definitely does have, you might get it with this, but you're probably not going to have a fun time with it at all. So yeah, that's about it for this. So I think we're done here. I'm not going to save that project. So yeah, that's about it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I hope this answered any of your questions. Goodbye.